Hey you guys! So this kit is going to be so much fun for making someone feel nice and special for their birthday or for some other kind of special event. And the paper that I used is super colorful, which makes it really vibrant and fun. And this paper is actually by Basic Gray and it's called Hello Luscious. And I got it online at 2peasinabucket.com. You can kind of see what's left over here. But really any kind of paper is going to work, whether it's colorful, whether it's elegant or cutesy, or even if it's like black and white to be real elegant, or even just all white like for a wedding or something. So this is pretty easy to put together. I'm going to show you how that works, and I'm going to show you how these flowers go together too. And I'm going to show you how to put together the fun three-dimensional cupcake here. Lots of room inside for some goodies. And that will definitely make someone feel special for their birthday or for whatever. It's a lot of fun to put together, and it looks totally different if you use different kinds of papers. So also, we've got this really cool, super simple party hat, which it sounds silly, but I put it on and I looked in the mirror and I was like, wow, I feel like I'm like celebrating and I'm partying. So it does add a nice touch, especially for like throw it on a little kid and take a picture of them. It's going to make a cute picture. The coolest part is that it's just one piece and you just fold it around. You don't even have to use glue. So I'll show you how that goes together too. And finally, we've just got two more cards here, which are fun to coordinate using coordinated paper with your gift that you're going to make for someone. And then the other card is a lever card, which it gives a really cool effect and it looks like something that would be complicated to do. But in fact, it is super simple. So I'm going to show you how that goes together also. So let's sit down, get started. I've got all my pieces cut out, so let's put some stuff together. First, I'm going to make the lid of the small box of the cake here. And the lid and the bottom on all three of these are the same. You put them together the same way, they're just different sizes. So I'm just going to show you one right now. And you've got three pieces here. This is the outside. For some of the bigger boxes, there's going to be two pieces like this, which you glue end to end to form a long strip just like this. And then you've got two circles. The bigger one is going to go on the outside and the smaller one is on the inside, which is going to be a liner to cover up some tabs. So first, let's glue this into a circle by putting some glue. Oops, glue explosion. Putting some glue on the tab there, and then just fold that around to form a little crown shape. Hold that while it dries and go ahead and bend these little tabs over here. Whoops. And then we're just going to go one by one, and we're going to glue these in place one by one onto the larger circle, which goes on the outside. So glue that first one on, and you want to make sure that the corners of the triangle underneath line up with the edge of the circle. So the closer you can get to having the corners of the triangle underneath line up with the edge of the circle, the better. So you're just going to work your way around one triangle at a time, being as careful as possible to line up the edges. Now I'm holding this up in the air, but pretty soon it's going to be a lot easier if I flip this over and push it down on my work surface. And then going forward, actually, I want to bend a triangle over to put the glue on it. Put the glue on the triangle, and then set this down on your work surface. And you can really see where the two edges are, and you can also push down on your triangle. So you're going to go ahead and do that all the way around. So once all of your triangles are glued down, mine are not, but once yours are, you can go ahead and take your liner piece, put some glue on it, and use that to finish off your lid. Something else that I did on mine was, since this is not like scientifically round, since the edges are flat, you might notice a couple little places where you could take your scissors and trim just a little tiny bit. You don't have to, but it kind of, if you want to be like really meticulous about it, it can add a nice touch. And then I also took some sandpaper and I sanded the edge a little bit just to make it even more smooth and perfect. And then I also took my brown ink pad and I rubbed that on the edge as well. So those are some good tips just to finish it off even more perfectly. So I've got my 3D flower here, and I've got the leaves, and I've also got one spiral, 3 larger petals, and 3 smaller petals. So first, you could leave the leaves as is, but something that's a nice effect is if you just gently kind of bend them in half. It doesn't have to be perfect or creased real hard or anything, just add a little bit of dimension. That's nice. So that's just going to go underneath your flower. Now let's take our spiral piece, and you can do this just with your fingers. We're just going to bend it in a spiral. If you have a stylus like this laying around, it kind of helps to really get up inside the center and get like a tighter curve, but it's not totally necessary. So the general idea is just to bend it around in a circle, starting from the inside out to the outside. And just kind of give it a good squeeze to get it going in the right direction. That's obviously going to go in the center. We can just set that aside. And then we're going to take our petals. We're going to do the same thing to all 6 petals. Just put 1 dot of glue and just fold it over like this and hold that while it dries. And then just bend the leaves away from you a little bit. Just adds a nice little bit of dimension, and really anything you can do to add more dimension to something that's supposed to be lifelike is really going to be a nice touch. So go ahead and do that to the other 5 leaves. So now we've got all of our petals kind of cupped like this, and we're just going to glue the three large ones together on the bottom, and we just want to stagger them so that they are pretty much evenly spaced apart from each other. But it does not have to be perfect because it just looks even more natural that way if it's kind of just whatever. So just glue the centers together like this, and then do the same exact thing to the smaller petals. And then you can probably guess what is next after that. We're going to glue the smaller ones on the inside to the bottom. And then finally, we're going to glue the spiral inside. So go ahead and put glue. I'm going to put like a big glop of glue on the bottom because it's kind of got a funny shape. It's not really like a flat surface. So I want to make sure that I've got lots of coverage in there to make sure that the glue is touching everywhere it should be touching. And just kind of spin it around till it looks nice. Pop it in there. Let that dry. And then I'm going to take my spiral and I'm going to kind of eyeball about how big I want it to be, because you know I could expand it or I could contract it. But I've got it just where I want it, so I'm going to put a little dot of glue here to hold it to itself in shape. And then I'm going to put a line of glue around the bottom, and also some glue on this outside here where it's really going to hold the spiral in place. So just go ahead and pop that in. And make sure that the glue is just at least touching somewhere down there. Doesn't have to be scientific. And there you go. Just set that aside to dry. And when you're ready to put it together, you can glue the leaf onto the bottom. So moving on to our cupcake here, we've got this large piece here, which is the top, and it comes with this little guy here. And then the bottom is 2 pieces kind of similar. And that does not include the little accents that go on at the end. We're just going to do the basis of the cupcake. So first we're going to put some glue on a triangle tab. It doesn't really matter where you start. as long as you just take your time and line up the two edges. And it's a tiny tab, but if you just put a thin layer of glue on the whole thing and you just hold it while it dries, it still is large enough to hold the two pieces together. And then go ahead and put some glue on the second tab down there. And do the same thing, just put that in place, line up the edges as best you can. So I've got these two tabs glued into place. I'm going to flip it over and look at this longer tab, not the shorter one, but the longer one up here. I want to fold this over and add some reinforcement to this area here. So I'm going to put some glue on the underside, and I'm going to fold that over and hold that while it dries. So this piece has 10 little sides to it, so I'm going to go ahead and do the last 3 steps all the way down the line here. So put some glue on my little triangle, fold it, line up the edges, hold it while it dries, do the same thing to this tab, and then fold this tab over down here. So go ahead and do that all the way down your piece. So here is my piece, and it looks kind of funny, but you can just obviously expand it out, and I'm just going to leave this last tab not folded over, because first we want to glue these triangles in place. And it might look a little intimidating, but just go one at a time and hold them while they dry. You can start at the top or start at the bottom. Either way, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that you line up this corner with this corner here. And just hold it while it dries. You really need to hold this one while it dries so it has a nice firm hold, because it's going to want to come apart if you let go too soon. So just go ahead and do the same thing all the way down and take your time on each of these tabs. And then you can go ahead and fold this one over and glue it in place. So I'm just gluing my final 2 tabs in place here. And it's actually easier than you would think. It's even easier than I remembered it being from just yesterday. So go ahead and hold it while it dries. And once you have this in place and all put together, these little accent pieces are really going to finish it off and kind of distract the eye from these corner creases here, the seams, I guess. So that's pretty much dry. I'm just going to fold this final tab over, and then all I need to do is put the top piece on, and then I'll put my little accent pieces on later. So this needs to go on here. It's actually really pretty cut and dry. Just go ahead and put your glue all the way around. Put it right on these tabs here. A nice thin layer from corner to corner. And then I'm going to set it down on my work surface. And I'm just going to line up one side at a time, kind of. Or just throw it on and just scooch it around until it fits into place. Or you can kind of just go like one at a time and really like line it up and scooch it around while it's drying. And just kind of guide it into place until it stops moving because it's dry. So there you go. Just add your accent pieces and your flour and a couple brads for some sprinkles if you want. I have some brads that are kind of hard to see, but they're cute. Now we can move on to the bottom, which is kind of a little breath of fresh air because it is even easier than the top. There's really only one tab to glue into place on each little panel. So go ahead and hold that while it dries and just work your way all the way down the piece until you get to the end. So I'm just gonna hold that while it dries. I line up the edges real nice. And when you get all the way down to the bottom, you can just go ahead and glue these 2 tabs here into place here. And then you're going to finish the bottom off the same way that you finished the top of the top off by folding over all of these tabs all the way around and putting glue on there. And then do the same thing, just put this piece right into place to form the bottom. So this is what your final cupcake will look like. With your paper, of course, will be a little bit different. And these little accent pieces just finish it off. I went ahead and I rubbed a brown ink pad around each of these little panels before I glued it down, which adds a nice touch. And there's plenty of room in there for some goodies. So there you go. So here is my party hat all cut out. And I think it's really fun to use a big, bold pattern for the party hat. And you just go ahead and curve it around. And you're going to take this tab here, it's going to go into this slit here. But it's not going to come from the bottom, it's going to go in from the top. So just get it up in there. And just kind of line it up so that it's in the middle. And then you can go ahead and fold these little bottom scalloped pieces up, which is a really cool little flare that I've never seen before on a party hat. I think it's super cute. And as you can see, there are 2 holes here, and there are the same 2 holes on the other side. So that is going to be for your string or your elastic. You can use string, but preferably I think some thin elastic kind of gives you some give, so you can like talk and eat your birthday cake while you have it on. So go ahead and thread your elastic through. I'm going to come up from the bottom and I'm going to go back down through the top because I want my knot to be on the inside where you can't really see it. So let's take a look in there. Okay, so just go ahead and tie that in a nice double knot. A nice double knot should hold it, and we're going to trim that off. But for now, depending on if this is going on a child or an adult, you probably just want to put it on your own head or on your child's head and just kind of eyeball how long you want it to be. But when you've got an idea of how long it should be, go ahead and cut it off and do the same thing on the other side, obviously, and there you go. So if you've never made a lever card before, it looks pretty crazy, and if you give it to someone, they're going to think that you're some kind of paper genius architect. And I did not invent this whole lever card thing, but I adapted it to different shapes and such. So I've got this piece here, which is the exterior, and that just gets folded in half. Pretty simple. And then the interior piece looks like this, and it gets folded like this. And it couldn't be simpler. All you're going to do is put glue all over just this flat plane here. Just put glue only on this, and you're going to put it right on the inside of your card. And then once that is dry, all you're going to do is put glue only on this piece here, just on this flat plane, nowhere else. And then go ahead and close up your card and line up the corners so they're nice. And that is it. All that's left to do is embellish it. So that is it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have fun with this stuff, and I can't wait to see how yours looks with your different papers and your own special touch on it. So I'll catch you next time, and happy crafting!